There are many different types of HTML tags, and every one of them has a different purpose. Let's take a look and see how HTML tags work, and let's also take a look at the HTML head tag. How's it going, everyone? I'm Kyland, and here I like to make programming fun and easy to understand, so if that sounds enjoyable to you, make sure you slap the subscribe button, and let's get right into it. So let's go ahead and create our HTML file. If you don't know how to do this, I've already created a video on it. I'll link it up in the cards, but I'm going to go ahead and say my app.html, and we've got our blank document, so let's go ahead and create our HTML. And let's create our head, and let's create our body. So the way that HTML tags work is many of the tags have opening and closing. Not all of them, but most of them. Anything that's going to have something in between the tags will have an opening and a closing tag. So you can see here, HTML has an opening tag, and HTML has a closing tag. And the only difference between these two is this little slash here at the end for the closing tag. That denotes that it's a closing tag if it has a little slash right there before the tag name. And in between these two tags is where the content inside of that tag is going to go. So you can see I've got an opening tag here, and then I've got the head and the body both inside of the HTML tag, and then we have the HTML closing tag. Just like the head tag, we have the opening head tag here, and we can put any kind of content in here that we want, and then we can have the closing tag, which denotes that's the end of the head tag. And the same with the body. We can put all of our content in between this opening and this closing tag, and then once it gets to the closing tag, that tells the web browser that this is the end of the body tag. So as I said before, there are HTML tags that don't have closing tags, and we'll see one of those. Actually, we'll see a few of those here in just a moment. But this HTML head tag here, this is used by the browser to know different things about your website, and it's used for things that aren't going to be displayed on the screen. So let's take a look at one of those self-closing tags and see what is put into the head tag. So one of those self-closing tags we're going to be using inside of the head is going to be the meta tag. And this right here does not have a closing tag. It is used strictly for informing not only the web browser, but also things like search engines. It gathers information from the meta tag about your website. So one thing that you should always put in your meta tag is your char set. And we would do that inside of this tag. So you see how we have the greater than, then we have the meta, and then we have the less than. All of your tag properties are going to go inside of here right after the tag name. We're going to say char set, just like that, and we're going to put an equal sign and then double quotes like that. And what the char set is the character set used by your website. And generally it is just UTF-8, just like that. And that's the default char set for just about everything anymore. And as you can see, the self-closing portion of this tag, it just puts a slash here right at the end. That just denotes that it's a self-closing tag and it doesn't have a regular closing tag. So let's take a look at another thing that we can put in the meta tag. So we're going to say meta again, just like this, and we are going to say name, and we're going to say viewport. Viewport, just like that. And what this does, we'll get to this a little bit later once we get past HTML, but the viewport basically tells the browser how to scale your website, because if it doesn't know how to scale your website, then it's not going to be able to make things like mobile-friendly web applications, which we'll work on later on. But we're going to name it viewport, and we're going to say content is going to equal width, which is going to equal device width, just like that. And basically what what that is telling the browser is that create the width, 100% width, the same width as the device being used. So if you're using a phone, the width is the width of the phone, rather than if you're using a desktop, it's the width of your monitor display. And there's another thing that we're going to add in here. So we're going to add a comma, and we're going to tell it the initial scale of the website. So we're going to say initial scale is equal to 1.0. That just tells it to start scaling at 1.0. This isn't super important, but it should be included in every website. And I'll show you a trick to include this without having to do all of this and remember all of this here in just a moment. So let's take a look at one more tag that's going to be put into the head tag. It's going to be the title tag. And the title tag, what it does is it shows the name of the current page at the very top in your browser tab. I'll show you that here in a second. But let's go ahead and say title, just like this. And it does require a closing tag because the stuff we're going to put inside of it is going to be the content. So let's just name our title My App. And let's just hit save. I'm just going to Control S to save. Now let's go ahead and open this up in our browser. And I will just double click on this here, and I'll just play it like that. So this is our current web page that we're creating right here. And you'll see right here at the top on my tab, my browser tab, it says My App. And I can change this to Kylan Codes App. If I save that and I refresh my browser over here, you can now see, you can now see Kylan Codes App. That is what the title does. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's take a look at how we can create all of this with just one click. So let's go ahead and just delete that. Now, this is a shortcut that is in VS Code. So if you're using another IDE, I'm not sure if it'll be in there. You'll have to check yourself. But I know it is in VS Code. So if you just press exclamation point, and it's this very first one here that's highlighted, and you can see what it's going to create for us right here. So if we just go ahead and hit enter with that one exclamation point highlighted, you can see we've created this boilerplate. Now this boilerplate is just code that's going to be in every single web application. So you'll do this every time you create a HTML page. So the doc type basically just tells, it's the only thing outside of the HTML tag, but it basically tells the browser that this is going to be an HTML document. And then we have our HTML tag, and it defaults the language to English. Many companies use different, create their websites in different languages, which tell the browser what language it's currently in. And then we've got our head tag here. You can see we've got our meta char set here. And then we've got this. This really isn't super important. It's just for cross-browser compatibility. And then we've got our viewport meta tag here, which is exactly what we created a little bit ago. And then we've got our title here with a default document name. And if we save this right here and we refresh our code over here, you can just see that it changes this to document. And we can change it back to Kylan Codes App, or you can change it to whatever you want. And we save and we refresh, you can see it's changed back to Kylan Codes App. And that's the boilerplate. That's the basic of HTML. This is going to be something that you're always going to have in an HTML document. So I want to thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. I will answer as many questions as I can. If you did enjoy, make sure you slap a like on the video, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.